2 weeks ago, I got passed down the line by a 19-year-old who wasn't even trying hard. The ball wasn't fast. It wasn't placed well. I just wasn't there yet when it landed. My serve was fine that day. My hands were fine. My feet were 3 steps behind the rest of me. He shook my hand at the net and said, "Good hustle," which is the nicest way a teenager has ever called me slow. I went home annoyed. Then I got curious, and what I found is that almost none of my footwork problems were about speed at all. They were about timing, habits, and a few small fixes nobody had ever shown me. Today, I'm walking you through 7 of them, and not one requires you to run faster than you already do. I'm Tim. Same as always, 34 years playing, 11 years coaching club-level adults. This channel is for players who've still got the game, but not the wheels they had at 30. Folks who'd rather move smarter than train for a sprint that's never coming back. And no, none of this involves suicide sprints in the parking lot. My knees already sent their objection in writing. Start with the split step, because almost every footwork problem traces back to this one moment. Most players stand flat-footed while they wait for the ball to cross the net, then try to push off from a dead stop the second it arrives. That dead stop costs you real time, because pushing off from stillness, this is slower than pushing off from a small bounce that's already in motion. What actually helps is a tiny hop, time to land right as your opponent makes contact with the ball. Here's how to check it. Watch your opponent's racket, not the ball, and hop just as their racket swings forward, so you land right when they make contact. If you're still flat-footed when they hit, you're a full step behind before you've even moved. Just don't hop too early or you'll land before you know which way to go and you'll have to reset. Land the split step with your feet a little wider than your shoulders, knees slightly bent. Weight on the balls of your feet rather than your heels. That wider bent landing is what lets you push off instantly in any direction, instead of needing an extra beat to gather yourself first. Get that timing right, and you buy yourself a full step of reaction time without any extra speed at all. Now that you're bouncing at the right moment, on to your first step, because most players waste it completely. The instinct when a ball comes at you is to lunge. One big reaching step toward the ball, hoping it covers the whole distance at once. It rarely does. A lunge is slow to start and even slower to recover from, and it leaves you stretched out and off balance right when you need to hit a clean shot. The correction here is a short, quick first step in the direction of the ball, followed by normal running steps to close the rest of the gap. Here's a good way to check yourself. Film a rally from behind the baseline. If your first move toward a wide ball is one giant step rather than a small, quick one, that's the habit costing you time. If you're managing a hip or knee that doesn't love sudden loading, a small first step is actually easier on the joint than a big lunging one. Just don't shrink the step so much that you're taking 3 tiny shuffles before you actually go anywhere. Get that first step short and quick, and the ball stops feeling like it's always just out of reach. You've closed the gap, so here's what happens the moment after you hit the ball, because this is where a lot of points quietly get lost. Most players watch their own shot, admire it for a second, and stay planted wherever they hit it from. Meanwhile, the court you left open is exactly where the next ball is headed. The move that works is a recovery step back toward the center of the court, taken immediately after contact, before you even see where your shot landed. Here's your checkpoint. Ask a friend or your coach whether you're moving back to center right after you swing, or standing still admiring the shot. If you're planted, that's your tell. If you're dealing with balance issues or you get dizzy easily, don't rush the recovery step so hard that you lose your footing. A controlled step beats a fast stumble every time. A simple way to build the habit is to count under your breath. Hit, then 1, as you take that first step back. Doing it enough times in practice turns it into something your feet do on their own, without you having to think about it mid-rally. Get in the habit of recovering immediately, and you'll find yourself already moving toward the next ball instead of reacting to it cold. The chain runs from recovery right into how you actually move sideways. And this next one trips up a lot of players who grew up doing it the harder way. Many of us were taught to cross one foot over the other for every lateral ball because it covers more ground per step. That's true, but it's also slower to get started and riskier on the ankle since your feet are crossed and unstable for a moment. The better approach for most balls is a shuffle step, feet apart and facing the net, saving the cross step only for balls that are genuinely far away. Here's how to tell which one you need. If the ball is within a few steps of you, shuffle. If it's a real sprint to reach it, that's when the cross step earns its keep. This matters most if you've had any ankle trouble, since a shuffle keeps your base wider and more stable than a crossed one. It also lets you stop and change direction again mid-step, which a crossed stance simply won't allow. Just don't shuffle so much on far balls that you never build the speed a cross step gives you. Use the shuffle as your default and the cross step as your exception, and you'll cover more court with less risk to your ankles. That shuffle fix is usually the one that surprises people. So let me pause here. If you're sitting there thinking, that's exactly what's been slowing me down, this channel is built for players in precisely that spot. Consider subscribing. It costs you nothing but a tap, and it helps more than you'd think. All right, 3 more of these to go. On to anticipation, because the fastest step is the one you never actually have to take. Most players wait to move until the ball is already coming at them, reacting only after they see where it's headed. By then, you're already late. The answer is watching your opponent's body and racket face as they prepare to hit, not the ball itself, because the racket tells you where the ball is going before the ball does. Here's a simple drill. During practice rallies, try calling out cross court or down the line the instant your partner starts their swing, before the ball leaves their strings. If you're consistently wrong, you're watching the ball too late and the racket not early enough. This is one of the cheapest fixes there is for players who've lost a step physically, because it doesn't ask your legs to do anything new, it just gives them a head start. With your eyes doing more of the work, here's where you stand between points, because most players give this zero thought and it costs them dearly. Plenty of players return to the exact center of the baseline after every shot, regardless of where they just hit the ball. That's not always the smartest spot to defend from. The better habit is recovering to the center of the angle your opponent can hit into, which shifts depending on where your last shot landed, not always dead center of the court. Here's how you know it's working. Watch whether your opponent's return shots consistently make you sprint to one side. If they do, you're recovering to the wrong spot, not just moving too slowly. Just don't overcorrect so far to one side that you leave the other wide open. This is a small positional shift, not an extreme one. If you're dealing with any lingering leg soreness, this tip alone is worth the price of admission, because you're trading smart positioning for actual running. Last one's not even about technique, it's about the shoes on your feet. So many players are still wearing the same worn-out pair with the same flattened tread they've had for years, out of habit or plain stubbornness, and then wonder why they feel slow or unstable, cutting side to side. Tennis shoes, with fresh outsole tread and real lateral support, are built to give you a stable, confident push-off in every direction. This one's easy. Check the tread on the balls of your feet and the outer edge of your shoes, and if it's smooth or worn at an angle, it's time for a new pair built for court movement, not running shoes borrowed from the gym. Here's your checkpoint. After a set, notice whether your ankles feel tired or unstable, rather than just your legs. If they do, your shoes are likely part of the problem. Look for a herringbone or modified herringbone tread pattern on the outsole, which is built for the multi-directional grip tennis demands, and check that the shoe has a reinforced outer edge for the side-to-side stopping tennis actually demands. Don't grab the flashiest pair on the shelf. Work with a shop that fits for your foot type and the way you actually move. This matters most if you've already dealt with ankle rolls or instability, because it's a fix that needs no change in your movement at all. So here's the whole thing in one breath. Time your split step to their contact, Keep your first step short instead of a lunge. Recover to center the instant you hit. Shuffle for most balls and save the cross step for the far ones. Read the racket instead of the ball. Recover to the right spot instead of always dead center. And let fresh shoes give your feet real grip. Don't try to fix all 7 this weekend. Pick 2 or 3 that sound most like you. Take those to the court first and let the rest wait. Next time, I want to walk you through what to do with your feet once you're actually in position to hit. Because great footwork means nothing if your setup falls apart the second you arrive.